Thank you and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. We're talking to Pastor KWalker, Minister Brown, and Minister Waller in reference to overcoming negative attitudes and conditions. And let's see, Pastor, let's start with you by having you to make some statements in terms of some of the things that we've already talked about, and then we'll have Minister Waller to give us some information, and then come back and let Minister Brown end it for today, because I think she's got some extraordinary kind of information that's chilling in a real sense. Let's start with you then.
Dr. Haney, a lot of times people that get caught up in these various types of traps in life, they caught up and they don't realize that there's a way that they can overcome them. Of course, my own story, people know, no shame in my game about my 17 plus years of drug addiction and being set free from it for 28 years now, because God's power, stepped into my life and broke those chains of bondage. And to know that there, not only myself, but there are countless numbers of others whose God has stepped into their lives and broke the chains of bondage, and a lot of people don't realize, especially like in Minister Waller's situation, he was addicted to the lifestyle of selling drugs before he got addicted to the actual drug itself. That's it. Mm-hmm. So there's an addiction that goes along that a lot of people don't even realize, that they're just addicted to that lifestyle of making money, the fast money, making so many thousands of dollars a day and stuff like that, that it's so hard to break those chains. I mean, prison has a way of breaking it for you when they put you in there. Now you go from $1,000 a day to 17 cents an hour, working in the prison system. But the reality of it is that a lot of people are entrapped, and that's why we have shows like this, so that people can understand that there are people that have gone through what you've gone through, and they have not despaired, they have not given up hope, but they have actually made a decision, turned their lives to God, and allow God to guide them through the processes of life and bring them to places that many of us would not have even imagined when we was caught up in the midst of our madness that we would ever arrive at. And that's why it's so great to have people like this to come on here and to share their information, share their stories. And I don't want to take up their time, so I'm just going to be quiet.
Okay, Minister Waller.
Okay. Yeah, what I like to say about this particular high, because most people love to get high. After trying it one time and like it, that's it. Once a person tried and like it, it's a possibility that they'll try it again and again. So it took one hit for me to try. And after doing it for all those years, and God knew that I love to get high. That's what I like about the God that I serve. I didn't know him, but I had to try him. And he introduced me to this high. He said, Ricky, I have a high for you. And if you don't like it, you can always go back to the one that you love the most. Well, what God showed me, that he knew how to set me up. See, I've been set up before by the enemy, and he broke me down. But God also can set you up. And he know that one particular high that I've been looking for, I wanted the one that lasts the longest, the one that lasts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That's the high he introduced me to. And the word says, oh, taste and see that the Lord God is good. And that's what happened. I had that taste. And so once he gave me and instilled that high into me, he realized that there's so many people that love to get high that I thought it was time for me to introduce them to the greatest high of them all. And that's why it's called Still High. And I love this book because it is here to help others. And once I got finished with it, I rejoiced because I felt like that somebody might be able to get information that will help them instead of being afraid of. Try something like this. It's good for you. It'll work. I haven't seen anything that can top it. That's the only thing about this high. I haven't seen anything that can match it. It's like, why would I have to go looking for something that I already have?
That's right.
That's what happened. The drugs beat me down so bad that I thought I was going to use the rest of my life. But let me say this. It all came from me watching somebody else. So we have to be mindful of what we do in front of others.
That's right.
I had a cousin that used to do drugs, and he didn't mean no harm. But he needed someone to go in the bathroom with him while he tied the sock around his arm, and just so happened, he chose me to do it. And I got excited about it, because once I tied the sock around his arm, he would take his instrument out, and take some water and put it in a top, put the powder in it, light a match up under it, and I was excited about what I saw. And then when he drew it up to fix it, to get ready to shoot it in his arm, he would tell me after he stuck the needle in his arm, he said, now loosen the sock. And then he would push it in, and Then he would take it out and turn around and look at me. And this is what he would say to me: "Don't you never do this." And I'm thinking, why would you say don't never do something that it looked like you're enjoying? And all I could think about at that young age is that one day I'm gonna get a chance to do that. Well, I grew up, he went to prison, he came back out, he would go to prison and get back out. And finally, this time he was in prison when the drug ended up in my hand. He sent me a letter and said he heard about I was using heroin. I didn't know what I was gonna say when he got back because he didn't stay very long. He was a thief. They don't keep you very long when you go out stealing. So, but anyway, when he got back, I shared with him. I said, yeah, I'm doing it, but I'm not doing it the way. I never stuck a needle in my arm, but I snorted it for all those years, and it gave me the same result. It beat me down.
Right.
Yes.
Mr. Brown, Minister Brown.
Well, from prison to praise, I just want everybody to know that whatever prison you're in, just learn how to praise your way through. You know, the book is actually available on Amazon or Barnes and Nobles because it's very anointed. Because I've been through so many different prisons. Like I said before, the molestation and everything. But the good part is about where I am now. Because I learned how to praise my way through. I'm an entrepreneur. You know, I've been the paralegal for the district attorney, because you got to think, you know you serve an awesome God when he can make your enemies your footstool. The same district attorney that sent me to prison is the same one that I was working for and still do some work for from time to time now, as a matter of fact. But that just goes to show when we learn how to praise our way through, God can turn some things around for you. Because life will try to beat you down and make you think that I can never do any better, that I'm so doped out that this is all, or even the things you talking about, watch what we do around other people. Even when we've heard so long, you're going to grow up and be just like your daddy. You're going to grow up and be just like your mama. Well, the buck stops with you. Any generational curse that has been bestowed upon a person, we cast that out. Because when you learn how to praise, you can praise your way through any prison that he done set up for you. And there was a lot of things in my life that I had to overcome. Even with me opening my business up. And I feel like I'm pretty successful. I've been open 9 years. I own a tax office, and it was amazing because in order for me to get my tax office, I had to turn in my fingerprints. And I knew that my fingerprints wasn't no good. But the same district attorney that sent me to prison wrote a letter about my integrity.
Wow.
And sent that in appeal because they turned me down at first. You know, the woman saw my fingerprints. She was like, you can't open no tax office. But whatever God had for me is for me.
That's right.
So my old boss, Attorney John Price, love him dearly. He wrote a letter and appeal to the IRS on my behalf. And they overturned the decision and allowed me to open up